Hi everyone, it's Zoe from the Scratch team, also known as Zinnia. Today I wanted to show you how to make a Pong game in Scratch. This is a type of game where you have a paddle and you're trying to stop a certain object from hitting the bottom of the screen. And yeah, by the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to make your own game like this, where you can design it however you want, and I'll show you how to add multiple levels and more. Let's get started. So first, let's pick the object that's going to be bouncing around in your game. You can just click this button that says Choose a Sprite and click Choose. And you can pick any object that you want. It could be a heart, or a pufferfish, or a star, or really anything. You can also pick a ball. I'll do that. Oh, and let's choose a backdrop. You can hover over this button that says Choose a Backdrop and click Choose, and pick absolutely anywhere that you would like your game to take place. I think maybe I'll pick the boardwalk. And now, let's make this object move. In the motion category, you could drag out this block, Move 10 steps, and by clicking on that, the object will move. Let's see what happens if we put this block inside a forever loop. So I'll go to the control category and drag out a forever loop. And now, if I put the block in here, the ball just goes forward, infinitely, until it hits the wall and it gets stuck. So, to make it not get stuck on the wall, you can go to the motion category, and there's this block, If on Edge, Bounce. So, if you put this block in the forever loop, the ball, when it hits the wall, it realizes, oh, I hit an edge, so it bounces. So, we've got it bouncing back and forth. But how can we make it bounce all over the screen so it's not just in this one line? In the motion category, there's this block, Point in Direction, and you can use it to set the direction that a sprite is pointing in. And right now, the sprite is pointing in direction 90, and that's sort of straight this way. Let's try putting in another number, like 45. So now, the ball is pointed at a 45-degree angle, and now it's really bouncing around everywhere. And I'll put a When Green Flag Clicked block on top so that we can make it start by clicking the green flag. You can also try putting a different number in here, like 15. So now we've got our object bouncing around. Let's add a paddle. So you can click on Choose a Sprite again and pick any object you want. It will be a little bit easier if that object has a flat-ish top of some kind, but you can still pick anything. We also do have this paddle sprite that you can use, and I'll use that one. So let's make it so that when the player moves the mouse left and right, the paddle moves with it. How can we make the paddle go to a certain position between the left side of the screen and the right side of the screen? Well, in Scratch, you might already know this, but X, this number, represents how far a sprite is from this side of the screen to that side. And if you go to the motion category and drag out this block, Set X, you can put in a number here, and that will control where the sprite goes. So if you set X to 100, the sprite goes all the way over here. If you set it to 0, the sprite goes right into the middle. And if you set it to a negative number, like negative 100, the sprite goes over here. Now, we want the paddle to move left and right when the player moves the mouse left and right. And here's how we can do that. If you go to the sensing category, there's this block, Mouse X. And this block will tell you what is the current X position of the player's mouse at that moment. So you can drag this block into the Set X block. And now this will set the X of the paddle to be wherever the X of the mouse is. To show you it, let's put it in a forever loop. So I'll put that inside a forever loop. And I'll put a When Green Flag Clicked block on top so that we can make it start by clicking the green flag. And there you go. When the player moves the mouse left and right, the paddle moves left and right with it, because we're always setting the X position of the paddle to be the X position of the mouse. Okay, nice. We have the object bouncing around, we can move the paddle, but right now the object just passes right through the paddle if we hit it. So let's make it actually so that the object bounces off the paddle. Here's how you can do that. Let's go to the control category and drag out an if block because we want the object to bounce if it hits the paddle. So how can we tell if the object hit the paddle? Well, in the sensing category, there's this block that can check if one sprite is touching another sprite. So we can drag this block and click and choose paddle from the menu. And now, if the object connects with the paddle, what do we want it to do? What code should we put in here? Well, we want it to bounce. And before there was that if on edge bounce block, but there's no if on paddle bounce block. But what is bouncing? It's basically turning in the opposite direction and then moving in that direction. So here's what you can do. You can go to the motion category and pick out this turn block and have it turn 180 degrees because 180 degrees is half of a circle, so if you turn that many degrees, you'll go in the opposite direction from where you were going. And then, after it turns, let's have it move a bit in this new direction it's going. So you can drag out a move block, maybe we'll have it move 15 steps, so the ball moves a little bit away from the paddle after it's been bounced. Now let's put a green flag block on top and see if it works. Okay, so I hit the ball with the paddle, but it didn't bounce. And here is why it's not working. We need to put this if block inside a forever loop so that the ball is always checking every second. Did I hit the paddle? Did I hit the paddle? Because right now, if it doesn't have a forever loop around it, when the green flag is clicked, it checks one time. Am I hitting the paddle right now? Nope, okay, I don't need to do this code anymore. So let's put this inside a forever loop. And now, there we go. We can actually bounce the ball with the paddle. And one other little thing I'll add, I'm going to put a wait 0.5 seconds block in here after it moves so that we'll have it wait and let it move away from the paddle a bit. Also, if you want to add some randomness to the way it bounces, you can go to the operators category and drag out this block, pick random, and instead of having the ball turn 180 degrees every time, it could turn somewhere between 170 to 190 degrees, and now it'll be a little different each time it hits the wall. Okay, so we can hit the ball with the paddle, but nothing bad happens to us right now if we don't hit the ball and it just goes to the bottom of the screen. Let's make it so that the game ends if the ball hits the bottom of the screen. Here's how you can do that. We have this line sprite in the sprite library, so if you click and add that to your project, you can drag it to the bottom of the screen. And now, let's make it so that if the ball ever touches this line that's under the paddle, then the game ends. Let's say if the line sprite makes contact with whatever your object is, so I'll pick the ball from the menu, have it stop all. There's this block in the control category, and that will stop everything in your game. So let's put that in here. And just like before, we need to put a forever loop around this so that the line is always checking if it connected with the object. And let's make this also start when the green flag is clicked. And let's test it out. So, if I'm playing the game and I don't manage to catch the ball, it stops the game. There we go, and you can restart it to try again. Now, let me show you how to add multiple levels to your game. And first, to do that, let's add a score. We can make a variable, and a variable in Scratch just keeps track of a certain number in your game. So we can name this variable score, and every time the player hits the ball, let's change the score by 1, so they get a point. There we go, pretty nice. And when the green flag is clicked, let's reset the score back to 0 every time you start the game again. Now, here's how you can add another level. After you set the score to 0, you can use this block and wait until the score is greater than, let's say, 5. So this block will make the project wait until this thing happens before it does the next block you put under it. And to make it go to another level, let's go to the next backdrop. And you can add another backdrop to be where the second level is. You can have the second level be anywhere you want. And now, when you get 5 points, it goes to the next backdrop, to the next level. And also, let's add a block up here and switch the backdrop to the first backdrop we want it to start at. So I'll switch it to boardwalk. And that will sort of set your beginning level. And yeah, there you go. That's how you can make a Pong game. Now, there are so many things you could add to this, and also the code for this project is in the description below, so you can always remix that if you want to. Yeah, I am so excited to see the games you make. I'll see you next time. And scratch on!